my name is Mackenzie Molidal, and I'm from the Westby Area High School FCCLA chapter, and today I'll be doing my Teach and Train project called A Spectacular Scarecrow Season. So, a concern I had as a senior in high school was that I wanted to go to college next year to become an elementary school teacher, so I tried to find a project that would relate to that and get me some more experience in the classroom. The goal I set was to complete the Teach and Train project in a preschool classroom by February 1st. So who was the preschoolers, Mrs. Adam, my mom, and me. And then the what was that I taught them about scarecrows. I did it at Coon Valley Elementary School on November 2nd, 2020, and the why was to do a stipend. And the reason I did this was that I contacted a preschool classroom about wanting to teach a lesson. So I went to Coon Valley Elementary School and I taught about preschoolers about a lesson on scarecrows. And the way I did this was that we first read a book called The Silly Scarecrow, and then we did a dance about scarecrows, and then we at the end made a scarecrow puppet, and then with any leftover time then we did a coloring sheet. So my follow-up was that everything went as planned. It was a fun and great day. I thank Mrs. Adam and her class for letting me come by sending them a thank you card. And then I would also like to thank my advisor for helping me organize everything, and then my parents for allowing me to do this project. So my career exploration, so some education path and qualifications that are necessary for a career in education is that you must have at least a bachelor's degree, you need to complete approved teacher education program, and you need to complete supervised practice teaching. And according to Zello.com, the job description for a teacher is that they are responsible for instructing students in an elementary school from grades K through 5. You need to be able to create lesson plans, administer praise and constructive criticism, instruct students on subjects such as science, literature, and math, and create a well-rounded, comprehensive instructional program. So some skills that are needed for the career is that you need to have patience, leadership, communication, time management. You need to complete paperwork and report cards. You need to be able to go to meetings, supervise clubs and activities, and take students on field trips. And you need to be able to monitor students for signs of social, learning, or behavioral problems. You need to prepare and grade tests and assignments. And you need to teach several subjects to one class or specialize in one or two subjects. And then the current and future job outlook for this career is it's an increasing demand and the growth rate is slower than the national average growth for all other careers. So a mentor to me would be my mom, and some measures that I've taken to ensure a long, enjoyable, and successful career is I've done job shadowing, I've taught Sunday school, and I've volunteered at places where kids are at. Some entry-level positions and opportunities for professional advancement would be the entry level is a 1-year license with stipulation and a provisional license. And some opportunities professional advancement would be lifetime license and master educator license, and going back to school to get a master's degree, and then you can also go back to get an administrative license. So the self-assessment, I was personally interested in this career because my mom is a teacher and she's inspired me over the years, and I've also loved working with kids. Some personal skills that I have that taught me that I'd be suited for this career is that I'm patient, I have good leadership skills, I have good time management skills, I communicate well, I like to work with others, I multitask well, and I take initiative. What appeals to me about a career is the idea of working with kids every day and making a difference in their lives. Some other aspects that I've considered is I enjoy teaching Sunday school, I babysit a lot, I love working with kids, and I have independent studies over at the elementary, and I enjoy them. So my actual project, so the topic was on scarecrows. The grade level was preschoolers, and I had about 30 minutes to do it. The competitive events integration was Teach and Train, focusing on early childhood education. And the National Family and Consumer Sciences Standard was 4.1, analyze career paths within early childhood education and related services. And within Wisconsin, it was the EC1. Wisconsin students will integrate knowledge, skills, and practices required for careers in early childhood education and services. So some materials needed for my project was a smartboard, a computer, the story, the paper bags, the actual template for the scarecrow puppet, glue sticks, scissors, the video on YouTube, and a coloring page. And some instructional strategies I used was we read a book, did a dance, made a puppet, we colored, I lectured, we watched a video, verbal/linguistic integration, and hands-on application. So the first activity was actually the book, which took about 5 minutes to get through the book. We read the story, and then as we went through, I asked different questions to the students or had them comment on the book. The second activity was actually the scarecrow puppet, making it. So I pulled them over into groups, and first they cut out all the pieces and then we glued them on together. And then the third activity was the scarecrow dance, so I pulled up the dance on YouTube and then they danced along with it. And then the fourth activity was just if we had leftover time, then we had a coloring page for them to do. So the assessment was actually how well they could make the scarecrow puppet and then how well they followed the directions of the dance. So here are some pictures of me reading the book and showing them how to make the puppet. This one again, reading a story to the afternoon group, and then kids actually making the puppet. And then some more of the puppet. And then here were kids making it and showing how they were cutting it out. And some quotes that I caught from the day was Mrs. Adams saying that I could come visit or teach preschool anytime. And then the very next day, Mrs. Adams' preschoolers asked where their teacher friend was. And then here are the group pictures at the end of the day. And then the thank you note that I sent. So my project related to FCS because of the education and the learned skills through child development, assistant child care teacher, intro to education, infant and toddler, and then the independent studies. So again, it was Westby Coon Valley Elementary on November 2nd, 2020. It was 8.5 hours because I was there from 7 to 3:30. The reason I chose this person was because one of my mom's colleagues and I wanted to observe a younger grade level. So I observed the whole day, which included center time, recess, group meeting time / morning meeting. So observations I made about room management was that she used a timer on the smart board that created a picture once it was time for cleanup. And then she also used attention getters such as like mac and cheese, everybody freeze. And some observations about the curriculum was that she used lessons that were based on their weekly subject. And then she did a lot of center time throughout the day. She managed the lesson by going over directions and expectations, and then would lead them on their way. And then she also, during center time, she had like one-on-one testing with kids. And then evidence that I saw of planning was she had a binder that was on her desk. So I asked her what their mission statement was, and she said it was the sunny ways to see every day as an opportunity to grow and learn from our own efforts, live with balance and mindfulness, be respectful, responsible, safe, build strong and healthy relationships, show kindness in all we say and do. The curriculum standards or guidelines she uses is the Wisconsin Model Early Learning Standards to guide their curriculum. The career of teaching and training, she said she became a teacher because she said she always wanted to be a teacher. When she was growing up, she had school in the basement for the kids in the neighborhood, and she said she never remembered ever wanting to be a teacher, she just knew. And then she said she also keeps motivated during her career because it helps to work at a school with so many amazing educators. It just makes you always want to do your best, and the environment where you work is so important. When you love where you work and love your job, it's not hard to stay motivated. Their best advice to a new teacher would be, don't feel like you have to be perfect. Ask for help and advice even if you're pretty sure you know what you are doing. It never hurts to see what other teachers have done in the past. And then you can't control everything your students do. Sometimes despite your best efforts, they just don't respond the way you think they should. It's okay to change a plan if things go badly. And then some presentation strategies. She said she picks those based on, for preschoolers mainly, it's the way that she needs to keep things moving. And then it always good to keep them involved. She chooses the activities based on like the skills they need to focus on and to keep them active and engaged. And she says with preschoolers, it lends itself well to accommodations. It's easy to incorporate all of those things throughout the day. The important thing is to be aware of them and make sure you're thinking of what you need to do as your plan. So the evidence of technology was that I used the smartboard for the dance, the computer to look up the scarecrow dance. I used the scarecrow puppet template on simplyeverydaymom.com, and then I used a scarecrow coloring page which was on education.com, and then my works cited page. So throughout my project, one thing that I took away from it was how to lesson plan better and how to utilize time in a classroom setting. And a challenge that I came was that the children were really quiet and didn't want to do much conversation, so I overcome that by specifically calling on them to have them answer a question. Thank you for your time today.